Hi there. Thank you for joining me for our virtual CurveFest Body Lovin 2013 edition. And as you may know, we had some technical difficulties with the live version of this workshop. So I have decided to record the videos and share them with everybody. So that's what's happening here. And I'm so glad that you are joining us. You know, my intention for creating this workshop at the beginning of the year was really kind of born out of my own experience of feeling like it's hard to set a body loving intention at the beginning of the year. There's just so many messages coming from so many different places and sources and people, and that includes our own friends, family, and coworkers, not to mention, you know, it feels like every other TV commercial, what you hear on the radio, what you see in magazines, like it's a real kind of inundation this time of year. And so I wanted to think about together through yoga how we can not only connect with body acceptance and a body loving intention, but how we can come back to it throughout the year. Because if you're like me and like most people, intentions that are set this time of year often last for like, 2 days or 2 weeks, it kind of depends, but it's often fairly short-lived. And so I wanted to share different tools and techniques that yoga provide that can help us come back to it, in 6 weeks or in 6 months and, next November, like anytime that we want to come back to this intention of body loving yoga. So that's kind of our scope for our time together. And during this session 1, our theme is back to your body, back to your life, breath, feeling where you are right now. So we're going to do some movement, and we're also going to do an extended centering to really begin to practice what it means to connect with your body and what messages your body provides. So for some of us, I think that this feels like a kind of abstract concept. Like we're not used to actually listening to our body, hearing a message, and being like, okay, this is what my body's wanting. Some of us may not think we hear any messages from our bodies. Some of us may not get those messages unless they're like shouted through a megaphone. That's me. Some of us may hear the message and then our mind might say like, that doesn't make any sense, like I'm not doing that, that's a crazy idea. And so I wanted to share some of these tips that have really helped me through the process of, dismissing or having to wait until I'm like chronically ill and laid out for days or even weeks to get the message that my body is telling me, because that unfortunately has happened to me more often than I would probably care to even try to remember. So before we kind of move into the movement part of our time together, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you might like to have available. So when we are practicing yoga, which we will do in this session and a little bit in the other 2 sessions, you might like to have a yoga mat. So especially if you have wood floors or tile or linoleum or something like that, where it might be a little bit unstable for your feet, I do recommend a yoga mat. If you're on carpet or something that's fairly stable and you don't want or need a yoga mat, of course you don't have to have one. My intention for the movement that we're going to do together is that it will not 100% require props. I wanted to make it fairly prop free so that you could do this at any time or any place without having to have this entirely extensive setup. However, I will share ways that you can use props, and when we're doing seated and standing poses, I'll offer alternatives in a chair for those of you who may want or need to work in a chair. So if you have yoga props available, mat, blocks, straps, you're welcome to grab it. You might like to use it. And if not, that's okay. You can have a yoga mat and a stable chair. So a stable chair is kind of like the one that you may see behind me there. And all I mean by stable is just that it doesn't have wheels. So you can keep it pretty simple that way. Alrighty, so before we move into our practice, I wanted to start with some reflection questions. And this sort of has 2 purposes. One, to frame our time together for this first session, but the other to start this process that I just talked about in terms of what is my body telling me and how can I listen to it. And for some of us, we may not even know, or we may not think we hear anything, and that can sometimes feel really frustrating and discouraging. But I invite you to take any information you receive, and not hearing a message is information that you're receiving, and just sit with it and see what else comes up. So this is definitely your space to experiment and to feel permission and to just play with curiosity. You know, what's going on with my body in this moment? What can I find? What can I find? And just kind of approach it with that playful, light attitude, because that's definitely my intention. Alrighty. So let's start wherever you are right now. You may be seated in a chair or on the floor, or whatever position you're in. And we're just going to start with a few deep breaths and some centering. So if it feels safe and okay, I encourage you to close your eyes. And we'll just start with a few deep breaths. Really going at your own pace. You may find that you like to sigh out your exhale. And you can even let your shoulders drop down. Let yourself just feel the release of that verbal exhale. And you can get into it. You can really, let yourself feel that exhale. Maybe even just letting the arms shake out as that energy washes down and out. And then from here, you can bring your attention to your breath. We're going to do some counted breaths. And we're going to do that by inhaling to a count of 1, exhaling to a count of 2. And I'd like you to continue that until you get to a count of 10. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed if they were. And as you go through, if you get distracted or you lose count, or maybe I should say when you get distracted and lose count, that's okay. You can just come back to whatever number you think you are on, or even start back at 1. After you get to a count of 10 or thereabouts, you can keep your eyes closed, just resting your hands maybe somewhere comfortable on your legs. And I'm going to ask 2 questions that I'd love for you to consider. So the first one is, what do I most hope to receive from this workshop? And just see what answer comes up. Again, this is your opportunity to listen to whatever comes forward without judgment. You may get an answer that's exactly what you were expecting, or you may get something that seems kind of out of left field. In whatever way, just kind of file it away as information for later. Take one more deep breath here. And then the second question I'd love for you to sit with is, what can I do now to ensure that I have the experience I want to have? Again, notice what your body is asking for. You could get any variety of answers here. You could get, keep doing exactly what you're doing. You could get to change positions. You could get that now's not the time and really what you need is a nap and to come back later. Could be just, there's so many different ranges. Maybe you need a drink of water or to put on socks. Like, whatever you need, file that away. And since this is a video, you can pause it, meet the need, and come back. So if you need to go get something like a sweater to feel more comfortable and warm, do it. Go get it, and then you can come on back. I'll still be here. So let's all take one more breath together. Inhaling. And exhaling. kind of having the answers that came up from your body as more information. We're going to continue into a physical yoga practice. So we've kind of started with a brief centering. We're going to do some movement, and then we're going to do a longer centering where we really get into how is your body feeling in this moment. So I'm going to move back from here and go back to my mat, and I invite you to join me on your mat. Okay. I move my chair out of the way so you can see. All right, so we're going to start standing. You can start anywhere on your mat. Now, if you're not comfortable standing or standing is not accessible for you, you can sit in your stable chair. Like we talked about, stable just means it does not have wheels. And everything we're going to do, you're going to be able to do from the chair. So it's totally up to you. You're not gaining or losing anything from standing versus sitting. So just go with whatever feels good. That's going to be a theme that we come back to again and again. What feels good and how can you stay with that? Okay, so whatever you've chosen, if you're standing, you're going to stand with your feet a comfortable distance apart. So just find that. You might want to move around a little, shift forward and back, adjust your feet as you need to. And when I say what feels like a comfortable distance apart, comfortable to me means you feel grounded and spacious. So you feel like you have enough space in your legs to stand comfortably. For some of us with curvy bodies, standing, for example, with feet together is not comfortable. For me and my body, my knees kind of knock in together and I feel like a little bit wobbly. So I have my feet a comfortable distance apart from my body, which will be different for me than it is for you, but we can all find what that means for us. If you're seated, same thing. Legs are a comfortable distance apart. Whether seated or standing, we're now going to ground through the feet. One way you can do that is by lifting all of your toes up and just taking a moment to notice, where do you feel the most pressure in your feet? So for me, I have a tendency to roll a little bit in on my feet. So I'm feeling some strong pressing down underneath the ball of my big toe and the center of my heel. But the grounding under my pinky toe is very minimal. So I'm going to move my feet a little, press down more firmly. And you can see what's true for you. You may have the opposite. You may have already totally grounded feet. Whatever you have, we're going to come through that grounding, which means pressing down under the ball of the big toe, pinky toe, center of the heel, and then you can lower your toes down. Have a very, very, very slight neat bend in your knees. I probably wouldn't even be able to see it with my eyes. You're feeling it from the inside out. And that's really what we're doing with yoga, is feeling from the inside out. So we're not letting an external rule, unless it's about something to keep us safe, of course, tell us exactly how we should be. We're letting our body be the guide within the realm of safety. That's a nice way to think about yoga, I think. From there, you can elongate through the spine. Head is extending up towards the ceiling. And you can see if you can invite your shoulders to drop down a little bit. So some of us who carry tension in our shoulders, me, lots of people, kind of have some of these deals going on, maybe not quite this dramatic. So you can see if you can soften the shoulders any amount. And from here, we're going to add on a little bit of movement. So on an inhale, you're going to reach your arms up overhead. I know you can't see the tops of my arms, but that's okay. You can imagine my palms are facing each other. Exhale, palms press together and the hands come down in front of the chest in a namaste or prayer position. Inhale, we're going to open the arms out wide. Exhale, bring the hands back to center. So do that 2 more times and follow your own breath. This is something I'm wanting to encourage you, connecting with your breath. We'll all have a slightly different pace. So if you're going faster or slower than I am, it's all good. I highly doubt that we have exactly the same length of breath. Not to mention that I'm talking and not exactly on even my own breath. So you're just doing your thing. After your third time through, hands can rest in the center here. And I invite you to place one hand on your heart, the other hand on your low belly. Doesn't really matter which hand where. And right here already we're doing something pretty radical. We are placing our hands on our own body. This is something that we're not often encouraged to do, especially those of us who have felt disconnected or disappointed or frustrated, or like we really want to change our body. We often don't let ourselves physically connect with our body and touch it, especially our belly, such a maligned place of the body, unfortunately. So place your hands here and already give yourself a little internal pat on the back that you're here. Take a deep breath here and think about an image that you find really grounding. I think something in nature is a nice thing to consider. So some grounding images that come to mind for me are a tree, like a giant tree with thick roots. Maybe a big rock, the kind that you see in the ocean that seems like it's been there for generations. Another possibility is an actual mountain. Sometimes this pose that we're in, Tadasana, is called mountain pose. And it's evocative of those qualities of stability. So whichever image that you've chosen, let's kind of bring some of those qualities in. So inhale, reach your arms out in front of you. Connect with your image. You might even like to close your eyes here. Exhale, bring the qualities in. Placing both hands on the heart. 2 more times following your own breath. You inhale, reach the arms out, connect with your image. Exhale, bring it in. And then one more time at your own pace. There's no rush. To your third time through, you can gently open the eyes. Hands are here on the heart. And we'll add on again. So if you have blocks or a chair available and you're standing, you may like to bring them in front of you. So I'm going to place my blocks right in front of my feet on the highest height. And they don't have to be far away. They're just a couple inches in front of your feet. If you're seated in a chair, you're going to stay exactly where you are. So on an inhale, arms are going to reach overhead just like before. Exhale, you're going to bend your knees significantly and fold forward, hands to the blocks. Head is releasing down. Only once you get down here do you begin to work your legs toward straight. Now, does that mean they will definitely be straight? No. We're all just working in a particular direction. So on your next inhale, press through your feet, come on up. Exhale, arms come down by the sides. So let's go again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. Once you get down, we're going to take a full breath, legs work towards straight. So you inhale down here, exhale. Next inhale, you come up. And exhale, arms by the sides. So let's do that 2 more times, and I bet you guessed it. Yep, you're going to move on your own breath. If you're seated in a chair, you're folding forward between and over your own legs. If you're feeling any belly compression in either position, you can bring the hands to the low belly and tuck the skin either in this position or the next time through. So I'll show that if you're curious. What I would do is inhale, arms up, exhale, hands to the low belly. I'm tucking the skin down a little bit. As I fold forward, my torso holds the skin out of my way. I release my hands. If you have a lot of slack in the elbows, that tells you you can dial the blocks down. If you find you've come too far, guess what? You have permission, you come right back. This is the nice thing about a body positive and accessible yoga practice. You can play with things that work, and when they don't, you just go right back to what you did before, no big deal. Alrighty, so we're going to continue to add on to this process that we've been doing. So we're going to do the same thing, adding on. Inhale, arms come up, look up. This is our addition. So if it's safe for your neck, you can look up to the ceiling. If not, you can just maybe look a little bit higher on the wall. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward. This time we're going to come right back up. Inhale up. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come right back up. Exhale, arms down. We'll add on again. Inhale, we'll come up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, you're going to come halfway up. So what I mean by that is you're going to reach your chest forward, which lifts it up. You can even come onto fingertips. If you're seated in a chair, hands can press into the legs. Surely you've been taking more breaths here, so whenever your next exhale comes, fold forward again. And then inhale up. Exhale down. 2 more times, we'll follow your own breath. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, arms down. One more time, I won't even talk. Just follow your own breath. There's no way to do it wrong as long as you're feeling good. We're going to add on again. Inhale, arms are going to come up. Exhale, I'm going to sit butt, turn to the side and show you what we're going to do here. We're going to kind of sit the butt back a little bit, so almost as though you were sitting in a chair. And if you actually are sitting in a chair, you can just bring the torso forward a little so you're in a similar position. Then from here, we're going to fold on down. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms by the sides. So we'll do that again together. Inhale up. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, tilt forward. Exhale, pause. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms by the sides. Last time, it's all you. If you skip a step, it doesn't really matter. Just do your thing. Last thing we're going to add on here, we're going to inhale up, exhale, sit back. Inhale, we're going to take a twist. So one hand's going to come to the hip, other hand comes to the belly, maybe to the leg. Then we inhale up. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale, we come back to center. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms by the sides. We'll do that 2 more times as well. Inhale up. Exhale, sit back. If this isn't working for your knees, you just keep the legs straight and you take a twist with straight legs. So either straight legs or in that sort of chair position with the butt back. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms by the sides. Last time, it's all you. Whenever you're done, we'll meet back in the center, back in your standing mountain position. You might like to just close the eyes, place the right hand on the heart, left hand on the belly. And take 3 deep breaths, reconnecting with your grounding image. After your 3rd exhale, you can gently release the hands. And we're going to come to seated. So if you're in a chair, you're good. You can stay seated in the chair. If it's comfortable for you, you can come and sit on the mat or on the ground. You might like to sit on a blanket. Something like this if you have a yoga blanket, or just anything that you can sit on to lift the hips up a little bit. And then come on down. So you have so many options here. You can sit with legs extended in front of you, legs crossed, whatever works. So if you'd like to sit in crossed legs, this is kind of maybe the most complicated position, so I'll explain it. Whatever you choose, we're going to rock onto one hip, bring the opposite hand under the butt cheek, move that skin out, and come back. So I'm kind of making a motion like this with the skin. It's not nearly this dramatic, but this is the motion. Then we go other side. So now our sit bones are grounded. What happens when that is in effect, we can lift and lengthen our spine a little bit more. To cross the legs, take 2 fingers, so sort of a, I don't know what this little thing is, but you're going to take the 2 fingers behind the crook of your knee, and you're going to roll the skin behind the knee in this motion. So you're kind of rolling it out towards the knee itself. As you do that, you bring the leg in. So what this is doing is creating a little space for the knee to fold more, which is actually a more safe position and a more comfortable position. That foot tucks in as close to the pelvis as feels good. Then other side, 2 fingers tucked behind the knee, roll the skin. Other leg comes in. From here, you can also move the skin of the thigh. You're going to roll the skin kind of like this. So you're bringing, if this is your right leg, you're going to bring the left hand to the inside of the right thigh. Right hand comes to the belly of the hamstring. You roll that skin of the thigh. Same thing, other side. This is also letting the legs sit more stably. And then if you'd like to move the skin of the belly a little bit, you can bring the hands to one side of the low belly, tuck it down towards the pelvis. Same thing, other side. So now you're in a nice, grounded, open, elongated position. And from here, we're again going to do a little bit of work, breathing and moving. What we're really doing with this is giving our mind something to focus on as we breathe, to start to bring us in deeper and deeper into our own experience. So when our mind has something to do, like move on the breath, it gives us just a little bit of breathing room from imagining our grocery list and whatever else we might be thinking about. So inhale, we're going to bring the arms, just going to move my chair a little. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, we're going to twist. So very similar to what we did a moment ago. Right hand is going to come to the right hip. Left hand comes to the right leg. Inhale, we come back to center. Exhale, we go other side. Again, you're welcome to do this with legs extended. If that feels more comfortable to you, you're still getting all the same benefits. The only reason I taught the cross leg was just for people who wanted to try that to get some curvy tips. Of course, doing this in a chair, totally the same too. Let's go one more time each side. Again, you're following your own breath, so you don't have to be exactly in rhythm with me or anyone else if you happen to be practicing with someone. Whenever you're done, we'll meet back in the center. From here, we're going to extend the legs if the legs are not already extended. People who are sitting in a chair, you can keep your legs exactly where they were. We're going to do some forward folds. So you might like to take the legs even wider than the mat. We're not coming into a full wide leg forward bend and do Pavisha Konasana. We're coming just wider than the traditional Paschimottanasana, or the wide leg forward bend. So that pose is often taught with feet together or super close. And for those of us with belly, which is honestly most of us, when you fold forward in this position, you feel like you just can't get very far, and it's kind of like frustrating, like, oh, why can't I fold forward more? So, eureka, you can just take your legs a little bit wider, and all of a sudden, you can fold forward and have a more maybe enjoyable experience of the pose. So same thing happens if you're seated in a chair. You just step your legs wider so your belly has space as you fold. All right? So we're going to inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Hands just touch down. We inhale, come up. Fingertips touch. We exhale, come down. Fingertips touch. You're going to continue this process going at your own pace. What I'd like you to notice is what's happening with your sit bones, or the bones that you're sitting on. So if you get super exuberant, you might find that you're like rolling off of the sit bones. And of course there is some movement involved in a forward bend, but as much as possible, see if you can keep those puppies grounded. Make your breath slow. Make it a relaxing treat. You might even lengthen your exhale longer than your inhale. Next time you're folded forward, stay if it feels okay. You can tuck the chin lightly to the chest, and we'll take 3 deep breaths. If this isn't working for you for some reason, you can continue the movement. After your third exhale, lightly walk the hands in towards the body. Once you're bringing the torso up, only then do you bring the head the rest of the way up. From here, we're going to come into that extended centering that I mentioned. So you have several options. You can stay seated. If you're in a chair, maybe you scoot back a little so your back is nice and supported. If you're seated on the ground, I encourage you to put your back up against a wall. What we're really going to be doing is checking in with the body. So I want the body to be as supported as possible so that the muscles aren't really having to work. It just makes it a little bit harder to connect when you're in that position. So if you're going to stay seated, please have your back supported by a chair or the wall. You also have the option to lay down. So I'll show a couple choices with that. And I'm just going to turn to the side. So you might like to move your blanket, if you were sitting on one or if you have one available, a pillow, and lay back, resting the head on the blanket. Resting the head can cause the chin to tip and the forehead to tip down a little bit, which is a more relaxing position for the body. You can stay here with arms by the sides or arms resting on the belly, and you can keep the knees bent. If you find, like many of us with curvy bodies do, that you have an arch in the low back, you can step the feet in a little bit more, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone just a little bit, and then lay the hips back down. What we're doing is just lengthening the spine a little bit. If it feels comfortable and good, you can play with extending the legs. I don't have quite enough space with my wall, but I'll try to show. Oh, here we go. Legs are extended any distance apart. If you find that that creates too much of an arch in your lower back, you can place something like a bolster or a blanket under your knees, or just rebend the knees. So if it feels okay, you can close your eyes here. I'm going to come back to my desk just so you can hear me a little bit better, but you're going to stay exactly where you are. And we're going to begin by, surprise, connecting back with the breath. So let's take 3 deep breaths here. Keeping in mind that our theme for this hour together is back to your body, back to your breath. We're letting the breath be a real medicine for us right now, a gift. So after your third exhale, we're going to return to a counted breath, similar to what we did earlier, but a little bit different. So this is another tool for your toolbox, like I mentioned, of different techniques that you may find helpful at different times throughout the year. So how this is going to work is you're going to inhale and count your inhale. So what I mean is inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale and try to make it just 1 beat longer. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to continue like that. So it does not matter if your inhale is 2 counts, 3 counts, 4 counts, 8 counts, however long it is fine. And then you're just going to exhale with 1 extra count. So what we do not want is a forced breath. So if you're exhaling, then you're like, trying to add on 1 extra beat, that's not getting you into a relaxed state where you can connect with your body. So just play with that a little bit. Inhaling to whatever the length of your inhale is. Exhaling with 1 extra count. You may find as you continue with this process that you can lengthen the exhale to 2 extra counts. If you can, that might be something to play with. If not, if it doesn't come easefully, then continue with 1 or even just matching an even breath. Do 2 more rounds of whatever you're doing. And then we're going to begin a process of checking in with the body. So you can let go of the counted breath. Now your attention is going to move from counting to connecting with your body. So we'll begin by feeling your feet. And see if you can do this without moving the feet at first. Just start with awareness. You may feel sensations of cold or warmth, tingling. You might not feel anything, just notice. What is happening in my feet? From here, you may find that your feet are asking to move in a particular way. If that's happening, make those movements. Anything that will allow the feet to rest more comfortably. And then invite the feet to still. From here, you can move up from the feet to the legs. Again, starting with awareness. What is happening in your legs? Just noting without judgment. From here, if the legs are asking to move or shift in any way, accommodate that request. And then the legs can still. We'll move from there to the hips and the belly. Noticing what your hips and belly are feeling like in this moment. This is a loaded area of the body for many of us. Many of us have been taught to disconnect with this area of our body, whether through societal messages, some of us through trauma, from our own disconnection from our body. So it's good to just note that. And if it feels difficult to stay with this area of the body, it's okay to skip it. This is a message I invite you to come back to again and again. It's okay to do what feels safe for your body and not do what doesn't. That's going to be different for each of us. So if you're still here with your hips and your belly and they're asking to move in any way, go ahead and make those adjustments, especially anything that would allow your lower back to rest more comfortably. And then the hips and belly can still. We'll move from there to the hands, arms, and shoulders, noting how they're feeling, any sensations you feel. Perhaps noting any tension you may feel in the shoulders. And then again, inviting in any movement that wants to happen. This is all about your comfort, what feels good for you. And it's so rare that we have the opportunity to really ask ourselves, what do we want? And then meet that need. So let this be a delicious experience. Arms, hands, and shoulders can rest. We're going to move from there to the head, and we're going to do a little bit of work with different parts of the face. So we're going to start with the jaw. Noticing what is happening with your jaw. If it feels tight in any way, it's noticing any sensations. And then if you feel like you're wanting to relieve some tension there, you might like to open the mouth very wide, breathing through your nose. And just hold there, or maybe take some really slow, almost like you're chewing on some thick taffy moves. So just slowly opening and closing the mouth. And then when you're done with that, you can allow the mouth to slowly close. We'll move from there to the eyes, the eyebrows, the forehead. Again, starting with awareness, what is happening? Noting without judgment and with full permission for your eyes, eyebrows, and forehead to be exactly where they are in this moment. If you feel you could soften this area any amount, I encourage you to see if you can invite the eyes to drop back into their sockets. It's almost something more that you just say to your body and it happens than something that you force to do. Because some of us may be like, move our eyes in our socket, what? So just say, eyes drop back and see what happens. You may or may not notice anything. Same thing with the eyebrows and forehead. Intend them to let go, and they probably will some amount. From here, do your own scan of your body from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. If there's any little thing your body's asking to shift or change, meet that request. This is also a process of reinforcing trust with your body, that you're listening to what it wants and meeting what it's asking for. Let's stay here in this relaxed position for a couple minutes. Just let your breath find its own rhythm. As you rest here, I invite you to find 2 words that you can anchor into. Words that describe how you either are feeling or would like to feel. So, for example, I might like to feel open and relaxed. So as I inhale, I say to myself, open. As I exhale, I say relaxed. You can just repeat that silently in your own mind or say it out loud, whatever you prefer. If you're not sure if you've chosen the quote-unquote right words or what you really want, or you just kind of find yourself getting into a narrative about it, see if you can let that go. Just choose the words that came forward. And if something else comes along that's really asking to be part of this, you can always shift it. But for now, just stay with what you've got. Let's go one more round with that. Inhaling and exhaling your anchor words. And then you can let the words go and return to the rhythm of your own breath. And if you found that you didn't have any words during that section of the breathing, that's okay too. Honestly, the breath itself is such a powerful and transformative force. Like I said, we're just trying on different techniques. Some may resonate, some may not. That's okay. As you rest here, I'd like to share a quote, and this is from Michael Stone, about the effect of the breath. So he says, when we soften the breath, the body becomes softer. When the body becomes softer, it offers less resistance to whatever we're feeling, and whatever we're feeling has a chance to arise and express itself without being locked in by the hardness of the body. So we breathe soft. And the harder our reality gets, the softer we breathe. And we follow this soft breath, that primal realm deeper than language and form and thought. Let's sit with that for a couple more breaths. Soaking in the power of this breath-centered practice. From here, take a moment to notice how you feel. Noting for the future what you experience when you give yourself the time to move slowly, to follow your breath, to listen to your body, and to meet its needs. This is something that I need to remind myself is a good thing on a daily basis. As you're ready, you can begin to invite some movement back into your body. Maybe starting with wiggling fingers and toes. And then take a moment and check in with your body. Ask it what movements would feel good from here, and then make those movements. Then they can be anything or nothing. If you're laying down as you're ready, and only as you're ready, you can slowly roll to one side, pausing for at least a breath on your side. So if you had been laying down, it's nice to give the body a moment to acclimate before you come up to seated. So that's why you're pausing on your side. And then from there again, only as you're ready, you can slowly come up to seated. And we're all meeting here in this centered and seated position. Making any little adjustments you need to feel comfortable in the seated position. You might like to rock to the side, recenter your sit bones. So this has really formed the foundation of our next two sessions, which our next one is going to be talking about intentions versus resolutions and thinking about what you may want your intention for the new year to be, and coming to that from a place of body love and body acceptance rather than a place of feeling like something external is telling you that you need to or have to change for some reason. So let's see if we can maintain this space, this centering and connection with your body as you move forward into your next couple of sessions. So because this is on video, some of you may be going straight into the next two sessions. Some of you may not be doing the second session for another day or another week, who knows. So whatever you're doing, I encourage you to take a moment, get out some paper, and just kind of longhand write some responses about what came up for your body during that practice. So any messages you received, any questions that came forward that you want to sit with. You might like to jot down the 2 words that came up for you to anchor into, and maybe make some notes about any special relevance that they had for you. Just kind of giving yourself a little bit of time to integrate what came in and what came forward. I think that's always a nice thing to do anytime you've done a yoga practice, whether writing it down or just giving yourself a minute or two to kind of reflect in your own mind before you move forward into the rest of your day. If you are continuing with this process without much of a break, I definitely encourage you to just take a moment and meet any kind of body needs that have come up. Go to the bathroom, drink some water, have a snack, whatever you need to do, and then we'll meet back for the second session. So thank you for being with me for this centering and coming back to your body back to your breath. I'll see you in a little bit. Namaste.